Hi everybody. I'm Tim, and this is Terry, and this is Renee. We're going to talk about The Hobbit because we haven't reviewed that today. So, and this time we've got notes, which is a big leap forward for us.
They're my notes. You can have these notes.
Notes. So first of all, on the notes,
which Hobbit is it, Tim?
It's The Hobbit: The Battle of the Five Armies, the last Hobbit movie to come out.
Who are the five armies?
Now this is an interesting. Well, let's dive right in because I'll get to that actually. I'll get to that in this second point. But the first one is, what did you like about the movie? I'll go with you first because you're there.
I liked the necromancer storyline and how it led into Lord of the Rings.
Okay.
I liked all that sort of tying stuff to it with Kate Blanchett and Ian McKellen, all that sort of stuff, and the Sauron and banishing the Mordor. By the way, there's spoilers.
Spoiler alert.
Spoiler alert. There will be spoilers.
Yes.
I found that pretty much the best part of the movie.
It's pretty brief.
It's not much of the 2 hours 10,
But like out of the whole movie, that's the best part I found that I enjoyed the most. The actual Hobbit storyline from the book itself, it was okay. It was good, but nothing overly interesting.
Fair enough.
And so that's what I liked about it. And that's pretty much what I really liked. That's it.
Fair enough.
Okay. It's just like the tie-ins
with the next set of movies. Section. Yeah. Okay. So is that? Are you done?
I'm done.
Fair enough.
I don't have anything.
I'll be quick as well because I thought it was an okay movie, but there's nothing I can specifically point to that I can say that I liked. I thought there were a lot of missteps. It was generally like it did in the trilogy, and it did tie into. It worked, I guess, well enough as it resolved the storylines of the last two and leads into the next three, but it just did that, but there was nothing particularly good about that. It's okay, and it's the movie you see because it's the end of the last two and the beginning of the next three, but by itself there's very little to recommend it. It's okay to watch, like I did not enjoy it, it's just that there's nothing specific. I would not say watch The Hobbit: Battle of the Five Armies for itself. It's just that it
completes the trilogy.
It's to complete that universe of movies, that canon of movies, I guess. So that was very quick. What did you like, Renee?
I thought it was okay. It wasn't terrible. I think that there was only so much left to do for a 2+ hour film, so I wasn't expecting all that much to occur. I still get annoyed with certain subplots that didn't need to be there, like the unexpected romance that is Cheriel and Philly. Not Philly. It's not Philly because no one cares about poor Philly. It's Killy.
The brown-haired dwarf.
The brown-haired, the hot dwarf.
The one that turns into a vampire.
So much stuff.
Yes, you've made that link now. That's you. You said that after his passing, that's how he's going to become a vampire now.
Yeah, that's how he dies. He dies and becomes a vampire in being human.
Yep.
And you know the rest of the story.
Well, we said spoilers, so. But no, I mean, I kind of watched all of these films, including the Rings trilogy, for performances. So yeah, I enjoyed the performances of many folks, and I like my subtext, as these two have had to put up with. So I read subtext into relationships, so I had fun doing that.
I'll tell you his performance I did like. Lee Pace.
Oh, Lee.
I really enjoyed his.
He milks that,
yeah,
but he has fun. I'm a Lee Pace fan. I liked Luke Evans as well. He does nice things with his face. And Richard, I expected Richard Armitage to make me cry, and he did. So, well done there. He's very good at scowling.
He is. I'll talk about Richard as well. In the next bit.
Oh, in the next bit. Oh, okay. Yes, but like performances I liked, but I felt that there wasn't, I don't know, that much to recommend it independently, but it's part of the trilogy, so you're not going to go seek it out on its own. But, no, I mean, it was good, but it wasn't 100% satisfying for me.
I feel like Tim's first wife.
Quite you. I don't have a first wife. For everyone who has legitimately gotten confused, I don't have a first wife. Okay, so do we want to go to the next bit? Do you want to?
Sure thing.
Let's go with you. I'll go this way.
Okay, so we're asking now what you disliked about it. What didn't you like, Tim?
Oh, what did I like? Oh, there's so many things. Yeah, there's more specific things. Like, as I said, generally you may as well see it if you like the rest. But it's a very oddly structured film because, as I said, there will be spoilers. The dragon plot that was the crux of the previous two movies of the trilogy is resolved before the opening credits, and then it's a bunch of politics that hasn't really been introduced. That's okay, but yeah, it resolves the conflict that the others were built around really quite quickly.
If the fangirls are there to see Cumber Smog, he's over,
He dies.
He's gone.
He dies.
Before you know it, so yeah.
And not very well, like it doesn't treat that as a shock. A lot of it is dragged along. But yeah, as I said, there's a lot of politics. Lee Pace suddenly wants jewels. I did like Lee Pace as well, but yeah, he just randomly wanted some jewels. I don't think that was really established, or it might have been established in passing, but it wasn't the crux of the previous movie. And then, yeah, so it's politics. The title, as it's the Battle of the Five Armies, you do spend quite a bit of the movie counting armies, because 5 is a lot for a battle, and you're like, when is the next one going to come out? Which means there's not that much tension in the battle scenes. There is a lot of a standoff in a battle scene. I don't necessarily mind that, but except that you are counting 9.
And the 5th one is, like, hardly there at all.
Yeah, and I'm still not sure.
Isn't the 5th one the one, and then the Eagles finally do something?
Is it the Eagles? I don't even know. I thought it was the second lot of goblins. Maybe it's, the Eagles. There's more Eagles.
They should just lead with the Eagles.
Yeah, which is, it seems like, more than anything, it seems like a misstep for Peter Jackson. Because he's done these very, very, very well. He's been very judicious in creating these big epics, not just the Middle-earth films, but King Kong. He's been very judicious, whereas this movie has drawn-out action scenes, stuff that looks like quick-time events in a video game, bad special effects,
yes.
which
we all have the unanimous feeling about Billy Connolly's appearance.
There's Billy Connolly is a CGI dwarf. Lee Pace rides around on an unconvincing elk. It's very, which by itself isn't that big of a problem, but there's so many, like, he's done better. He's been very judicious about using special effects properly and knowing what to use when, and he doesn't do that in this movie. And it's the same with some of the story elements, like, because I liked Richard Armitage. I think he's excellent, and over the last two movies they did, like I say, this politics is new, but there was this build-up that...
They mentioned the dragon sickness and all that kind of thing before.
But if you're wondering why there's this weird cut, it's because my phone ran out of memory halfway through the last video. So as I was saying, Richard Armitage I very much like. I think he very much established Thorin as a character who was corruptible by greed, but rather than develop that, they just decided to give him this arbitrary sickness that was magic. And rather than use the talents of Richard Armitage to tell that story, they used voice effects and slow motion. So I think it was, there was a lot of quite unsubtle story elements, just that Eagles came back without being explained for like the 4th time.
But they finally did something useful.
Yeah, but again, it's that one thing that's criticised about this franchise is random Eagles, and just happened again.
Eagles are busy people. They got things to do.
You're making that up. I don't want to have that from you. I want to hear that from the movie. So generally it was, rather than, Peter Jackson is a very judicious filmmaker who hasn't demonstrated that in this particular movie, unfortunately. That's about all I want to say, because that was like 5 minutes of talking. What did you hate about the movie?
I hated how comedic it was. I know that The Hobbit is a lighter book than Lord of the Rings, but just some of the comedic elements in it just took you right out of the movie. Like, they were setting up this huge battle scene with all the armies coming together, and then on top of the hill you see this lost Viking, and that's a reference from a game in the 90s, riding down the hill on a pig with Billy Connolly blaring his voice.
And you can tell, like, they use that just so everyone in the audience could go,
hey, that's Billy Connolly.
Yeah.
And it just took you right out of the movie. The tension that you had from the build-up of this army and the fight scene was just absolutely lost. And that's what I really disliked about the film. That and Bilbo throwing stones at trolls and killing them with one shot. He's not David. He's not David.
He's not David and Goliath.
No.
Oh, and we all collectively hated the character of Alfred.
Yes.
Yeah, because there
We took
was
that out for
there was no payoff. Is my issue that we spent a lot of time with this slapstick horrible person who, and then he's not validated or killed or redeemed or anything. It's just like slapstick.
Such a waste of screen time that could have been used on more
Story.
Yeah, important things.
Yes.
Finding out what the Eagles are up to.
Just hanging with the Eagles. I want to watch that. So, what did you not like about The Hobbit Battle of the Five Rings?
5 armies.
Yeah, whatever.
That's it. No, I was just I had issue with things being diverging from the novel for reasons that were simply to serve relationships and things that were made up within the film universe. And I don't dislike the Toriel and Killy love story necessarily. I just don't like the fact that it removed or changed things that I thought were going to make me quite emotional, that lacked emotion or just made me angry in terms of just especially how Killy and Philly were killed off, especially the lack of attention paid to Philly as a character just annoyed me, and I hated the character of Alfred. Wasted my time, and I thought there'd just be more emotional payoff than there was in the film overall.
Fair enough.
Yep.
Okay. Good point. So let's go to our last question. I'll read it because I'm in the middle. Did you think this was a satisfactory end to the Middle-earth franchise?
As an end to the franchise, no.
No.
Okay.
As it stands like that, like Lord of the Rings and then the Hobbit films,
Yeah.
no. But when you watch it in the timeline order, so the Hobbit first and then Lord of the Rings, it serves as a fine purpose as leading into Lord of the Rings.
Hmm.
So
Yeah.
if you're watching it, Hobbit, then the 3 rings, it's fine.
Yeah.
It's
If you watch it in chronological order of how it should be watched, ideally, then I think
Yes.
it works. And then you can watch Billy Boyd's music video and then cry, and then it makes sense. But yeah, I don't think that saying goodbye to Middle Earth via the Hobbit films is the way to go, because there wasn't enough payoff for me.
no.
Yeah, it's sort of trying to resolve this trilogy not particularly well, while building up to the one we saw many years ago. So it has no finality to the story. It's ending this while starting something we've already seen, and and this is the last Middle-earth film. So it doesn't quite work, unless you saw it in New Zealand, where you got a nice Thank You New Zealand documentary at the start, where the cast said it was nice, except Kate Blanchett, who, being Australian, said Australia was better. Yeah, nice, indulging
I like it
TV.
more now.
Yeah, that was funny.
And but you also said that you think that this film, as with the other Hobbit films, was probably missing vital scenes that we might see.
Yeah, It feels more than any other. It feels like there'll be more story in the special editions. I do understand there's more about Thorne's backstory about Thrain.
Yeah, there is in the
special editions, and it feels like either that should have been in the cinematic releases for this to make sense, or there's more coming in the special edition of Battle of the Five Armies to make it make sense. But seeing it in the movies, it just doesn't particularly work. It does have it's quite in common with Episode 3 there, in that it was ending the prequels. I didn't particularly like the prequels, but it was ending the prequels, building up to the original trilogy, so it was trying to do two things at once. And
that's what.
Dude.
I didn't want to mention Episode 3, but you've done it now, so I feel that you did it. So
regardless of what you think of me. Are we doing? Are we doing Chewbacca or are we doing Darth Vader? No one will know. Okay, let's finish up because we probably won't have a memory again. What was everybody's favourite Middle-earth film now that we've seen them all?
Return of the King.
Mine was Fellowship. What was yours?
Mine was Fellowship.
Fellowship. Okay, cool.
That's it.
Yeah.
Alright, for the 4th time,
Goodbye.
goodbye!
Bye.
Bye.